Welcome to the second episode of Dream Career Talk Show. Dream Career Talk Show is a part of my mission to transform 10 million lives, to help people to unlock their full potential and grow fast in their careers. Here on this show, we are going to have industry experts from various domains who can share their knowledge, their experience, their learnings, their failures, and success, which can help corporate professionals to get ideas, to get clarity, to get direction, hope, inspiration, and of course, the right steps to build their dream career. We all know, we all have been hearing this: customer is king, customer is everything, and many such lines we keep hearing. And we know that customers are the most critical element of any business. Now, whether you have to stay in business or whether you have to grow your business, customers are the most important element, right? And today's guest is someone very special and is the right person to talk on the customer experiences, on how do we build customer experiences, the best customer experiences. Today's guest is Sriram Subramanian, with whom I had an opportunity to work with. I was a part of his team, and he has impacted my career as well. I love the way he genuinely cares for people and also for his customers. Sriram comes with 2 decades of experience working in customer services space, right? He has been there. He has done it in the customer services space, starting from becoming or joining as a support engineer and today being a senior CX leader at a top IT company. Sriram has extensive experience in service industry, in service delivery, operations management, and post-sale support. He has experience in building and leading world-class CX teams, customer management, escalation management, vendor management, risk assessment, and mitigation planning. Sriram, welcome to the show. I'm glad you are
Thank
here
you.
with us live today. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fatha, for giving me this opportunity in this platform.
Thank you. Yeah.
Of course,
Thanks,
seeing you
Sriram.
for a long time. Of course,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you. And to get started, Sriram,
Mhm.
I have seen your profile, and we know that after working with you, I know that you started your career as a trainee and then as a support engineer, like starting from support engineer. And today you are a CX leader with a top
Mhm.
IT company. How did you get started with your career, and what helped you to reach to this position today?
Great. Yeah, I think that's a great starting point, Fatha. I really appreciate for, me for you to have me in this forum. Um, my career, I probably would say it's like it had an accidental start in terms of what I wanted to do and what I started doing. I
Okay,
actually wanted to do
interesting.
my masters. I mean, after my graduation, I wanted to do my masters, but I guess my fate had a different plan itself, right? And that's how I landed up in this corporate world. And I would
Okay.
say I started as a trainee, as you rightly mentioned,
Hmm.
with one of the government of India enterprise, wherein
Hmm.
my responsibility was to train a lot of folks on. I mean, basically make them computer literate, right? So
Okay.
and you can imagine, right? I mean, with working with you're just out of college, 21, 20, 22 years of old age, and you're working with all the government employees who are 50 plus or 45 plus, right? And for them,
Yeah.
computer was like another black box. What the hell is that, right? So yeah, I think that's how I really started, and that really helped me to go a long way in terms of how do I build the relationship with them, how do
Hmm.
I care for them, how do I show the compassion to them, right? Even though they are much older to me, they were no eyes when it comes to the technology space. That's
Right.
how I started. And once the ball started rolling, I think there was no looking back. I think in my view, I would say probably I was giving 150% of my time to all my work, and whatever came in my way I gave. Like I was genuinely working towards to ensuring what exactly the customers were anticipating or expecting from us. And
Hmm.
in the interim, right, later on, overall over a period of time, when we really found out that there was definitely a big shift in the customer support industry, right? Moving
Hmm.
from what you sell a product and you're supporting the product to what really the customer really wants out of the product, right? So that's
Right.
where my journey kind of started, from being a customer service engineer or a customer support manager to what we are today, of more of customer success executive or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Okay, that's a great journey, starting from the government to coming
That's
into the
true.
private, and then establishing yourself and getting well. So that's really good to know. And as you rightly said, right, earlier we
Hmm.
used to hear more about customer services, right,
True.
and today it's turned out to be customer experiences. We hear this a lot. So what is the difference between the earlier the customer service and today when you call it as customer experience?
Yeah. Okay. I think this, again, as I said, right, this is a great question, and I can say is that we need to live through it, right? Initially, as you rightly said, in terms of products that are sold or services that are sold to the customer, it was something like, it can deliver few things. I mean, so a person had an innovation in mind, he developed a new things, and that's what is sold, right? But
Hmm.
we really did not bother whether that particular piece of software or piece of hardware is actually creating value for the customer or not, right? I think that's
Right.
that's where the shift really changed. We do know, right, in the industry, that if we do not, the cost of acquiring a new customer is much higher than a cost of retaining a customer. So that's
Right.
where I think the various and even if you look at today's real life scenario, right, when there are my gate or apartment adda, or my complex.com, so on, so forth, right? And they come with hundreds of features. And are we really using everything, right? I mean, if I don't use that, and if I use only for a basic feature
Yeah.
of it, right, I will probably not be renewing it next year. So that is the shift actually happened from what you want to give
Right.
to what customer really wants. So that's where the shift happens from services to experience, right? And that's
Mm.
what I also kind of took the journey from that particular aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there is a huge shift in that. It's not only about
Exactly.
just the term, but the way we are giving not just the service, but everybody is looking for that great experience that they can always
Yes,
remember.
and more
So,
importantly, the value the product can give, right? So
right.
ultimately, if I as a customer is unable to retrieve the value of the particular product, I will not be renewing it, right? So there's no point for me to continue renewing it.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. And if we try to see in the real world scenario also, like today, as customers, if we get into a restaurant, it's
Mhm.
not just about earlier that we want a good service. We want the best experience because we are going with our friends, family members, or whatever, and that experience helps us to go back to that restaurant again and again. Right. The
Absolutely,
same with
absolutely,
any industry for that matter. Yeah.
absolutely,
Great. Great.
absolutely.
Yeah. And we all know that customers come with a lot of expectations. It's a common thing all the time.
Mhm.
So, but even when the customers are coming with a lot of expectations, how can somebody surpass those expectations? Right? What can somebody do special so that they can surpass and give that great customer experience?
Yeah, I think, to me, the very basic thing is understanding the customer problem, right?
Hmm.
If we know the customer problem, if you're able to get the root cause of it, right? If you help the customer to solve the problem end to end, I think that's where it really helps you, or for the matter, even the customer, to feel that the person has exceeded his expectation. Okay, many
Hmm.
times what I have seen is that an issue is reported, and we are kind of very keen to only resolve that particular problem. We do not look at what are the other underlying problems that we might have, or what are the other
Yeah.
potential problems that might be surrounding it, right? Is there a way for me to influence the customer to look at those aspects of it, right? That actually brings our proactiveness, proactively looking at issues. And if we're able to do that, give that experience, give a solution for that matter to the customer, right? They are able to appreciate that, and they turn, once a customer will always be a customer, and once a
Hmm.
customer, they will also be advocates for you to for rest of their industries, right? So that's how it really works. So to
Yeah.
me, understanding the problem, not only solve the problem but also solve the problems around it, that's what I would say will really help to exceed and surpass the expectations.
Yeah, that's so deep, and I can clearly see it comes from a lot of experience from you, because sometimes
Mhm.
we try to tend to see what extra things can we solve, but as you said,
Yes.
right, solving that root of that problem and making sure there is nothing else affected because of that, right? And helping that customer to solve that problem end to end is something that customer would be happy and always be ready to come back
Correct.
to you, and he feels that we have given extra value,
And
right?
that's exactly, now you saw the value, right? That's the value that you actually bring in. If
Yeah.
otherwise, if you're solving that particular problem, I think he says, okay, this is what I contracted you for. You're paid for, and you're doing it right. Now this is how we get in the value, right? If you're not only solving that problem, but addressing it at the root level so that it doesn't repeat again for themselves.
Yeah, yes, yes, getting it. That's really great. And what's the biggest mistake you see people doing while handling customers? Like, you must
Okay,
have led huge teams and seen a lot of people handling customers.
yeah. Again, I think I think this again. I look like, it's a question that gets connected from your previous question. Many times we look at customers at transaction level, right?
Mm, mm,
So if we, I mean, I think that's to me is the biggest mistake that anybody does. If we look customer at in each transaction level, it may not be looking at a big problem for you, but if you look
mm,
at the multiple issues that he might be having, and that might be connected at some point of time. So if I look at it at transaction level, I won't be able to look at the bigger picture. So that is a mistake in my view. And whenever I see an issue, I not only look at that particular transaction, but also look at all the associate ones that are around surrounding it, which really gives me a big picture. And hence I'm able to go back and let my team know, or let my colleagues know, why the customer is upset. The customer is not upset because of this one issue, but this one issue has multiple other impacts for him. So
mm.
that's what I would say. Looking at each transaction as one transaction would be one of the mistakes that people generally do.
Okay, yeah, yeah, good, good. And in your experience, you must have seen a lot of irritated customers, right?
Yeah.
What is it that irritates the customer the most? Is it like a bad call, a bad service, a bad product, or is it something more than that? What irritates the customer the most?
Okay. See, customer does understand, right? If it is a product, you will have issues. If it is human being, there are ways that, or that, when that mistake does happen. So as long as you are transparent, you're open to the customer, I think they are okay to listen to you. Of course, nobody's going to allow you repetitive mistakes of same kind, but as long as you're open and transparent and not try to hide things, I think that's where the customers are really get irritated, right? Again, talking from my experience, I have seen in the past that there are issues, there are instances when things go wrong, right? Go southwards, and some of it could be because of you, some of it could be because of other adjoining reasons. But ultimately, look
Mm,
at it from the customer standpoint, he is suffering, right?
right. Mm,
The only way for us to is to ensure that we build that strong working trust, the strong working relationship with the customer, so that he's able to trust you. Like if you have an issue, if you go back and tell customer we have an issue at 1, 2, and 3 level, he will validate and trust and believe that yes, they have the best people who are looking into it, and we can solve the issue. They are ready to give you time. And this purely I'm talking from my personal experience. In fact, there was one instant, and I don't know that I have shared it in the past, but there was a situation wherein I was a support engineer. I was on the field, and it was a maintenance window at midnight of the hour. And we being human, there was a communication gap between me on the field and the NOC engineer, and which
mm.
we ended up bringing the network of one entire city down, right?
Oh
You can
my
imagine.
God.
You can imagine, right? So, but yeah, but again, given that given the customer was knowing me that okay, Sriram is on the field and this is where he is, and when he got a complaint from his end users that his services are down, he was able to correlate and immediately was able to call. Of course, he was
Mm,
irritated. Of course, he was a little angry, but he was keeping his cool and say, how quickly can we bring it up? And more
mhm.
importantly, next day when you go back and tell him these are the issues that happened, and communication gap that does happen. And as long as we do not repeat the same mistake again, they're ready to support you.
Yeah. So I think that's a very good point made by you, because
Hmm.
many a times we feel that product is the problem where the
Exactly.
customer is irritated, or sometimes we feel the service is a problem right? Human beings, as you said, we do mistakes, but as you rightly said, trust is the most important factor. When
Correct.
customers will feel that their trust is broken, that is where they start feeling that most irritated,
Exactly.
because they don't feel like connected to you, and they don't feel whether you are doing real true service to them, right? So I think
Absolutely.
that's a very important point we can make note of here. And as a customer success manager, right, how can somebody de-escalate the tensions when there is an interaction, as you already said, right, in the previous one, like with an upset customer? What are the steps that somebody can follow when there is an escalation to de-escalate that?
Yeah. Again, I'll just kind of join the dots from the previous point that we just discussed, right? One is, of
Hmm.
course, when you have that the trust, the building strong relationship, right?
Hmm.
Obviously, you're able to buy the time to fix the issue. And
Yes.
once you have fixed the issue, right, you definitely need to go back with a much stronger point in terms of how do we ensure that
Hmm.
similar issues doesn't happen again, right? So what
Yeah.
are the lessons that you have learned from that particular mistake that has happened, and how do you ensure that those things can be avoided, or those things can be mitigated for the future points? As long as you have a very sound plan, a strong plan, that you go back with the root cause, and then how do you ensure that the same thing doesn't happen, I am sure customers who are really happy to listen to you.
Okay. Okay, thank you for those steps. And what is the
Mhm.
biggest challenge of people in the roles like customer success manager? What are the biggest challenges in this particular area or in this role that you see?
The mindset change, Fatha, I would say, right, from being transaction to looking at the big picture, right?
Hmm.
So it is, again, customer service is relatively new in this industry right now, right? Customer success is actually new in the industry. So there are not many best practices that are already documented, right?
Hmm.
But having said, right, I always feel that uh, that this transition from customer service or customer support to customer success has always been there. I think now it has become more and more important with the current pandemic situation that we are, and majority of your on-prem moving to cloud, right?
Hmm.
And then
Right.
cloud is something that you see that you can with a click of button you are able to spin out various virtual machines or systems and applications, and when you use it for what you pay for, and when you don't need, you are giving it back. So
Hmm.
that is the reason why this really becomes a critical aspect to me in terms of customer experience roles challenges. So the mindset change that is required, it's important.
Okay. And as you brought out the cloud concept here, I
Mm.
want to ask you, like, do you think cloud has become an advantage, or do you still see there is some disadvantage when it comes to cloud in solving problems for customers?
Okay, so personally, if you ask me, Fatha, is just before the start of the pandemic, I think there was a mixed understanding in terms of cloud.
Hmm.
And obviously, like the mission critical data points, the government data points, right? They were very very hesitant of moving into cloud. But now with
Hmm.
this extended pandemic situation that you see globally, I think people are ready to move into cloud. At the same time, in the cloud
Yeah.
also, I think they're also building in much more securities. They are bringing in much more features that are reinforcing the trust that the customers can have. That the data that is there in the cloud is safe, and it is not available for misuse and so on and so forth. So I think it's a mixed bag to me, honestly speaking. Will everything move into cloud at some point of time? May not be, but definitely I'm looking at majority of the things that will actually move to cloud is in coming times.
Yeah. Okay. So here it's not around technology. It's not about customer services, but as a customer success manager, or as you grew as a customer experience leader, right? People are something that you have been managing, right? You have had small teams, huge teams, and when I worked
Mhm.
in your team, I see you as a very humble person, very well connected with people. What has worked best for you? Like, how do you get well connected with people, and how do you get these people work the best for you?
Sure. In fact, thank you so much. I think that's if you have felt that way, I think I'm really. I think it's more from you being humble and sharing that point, and I really appreciate that. Um, we believe in in using individuals strengths rather than the weakness, right? I think that's very, very important. I think that's one of the main goals and approaches that we kind of adopt in one of my current organizations. So, and I personally believe that people work for their managers and leaders, and that has come to me through my experience, my own experience, right? I'm thankfully, in my 20 years of career, right, I have been having great managers, and leaders who have been guiding me at various point of time. There has been instances in the past that really, my leaders stepped in and guided me and ensured that we don't fall through. So that's where I believe, I am a strong believer in that people work for their managers and leaders, and that's where it came in from. And in services industry, people are everything, right? I mean,
Right.
this is actually a people's business, right? I mean, if you are
Yeah.
not able to work very closely with your people, with your team, then I think you're not doing a fair. You're not doing your job fair. In all fairness.
Yes, yes, yeah. And yes, thank you for being that great leader, because some of those people from whom I have learned by seeing, right? As you also said, you have learned from your leaders. And
Correct.
I was blessed to have some of the leaders like you all, because somebody teaches, you can't learn, you really don't learn it in the best way,
Correct.
right? But somebody shows you by being that leader. And I'm thankful to you and a lot of gratitude, because when I stepped into the leadership roles, I could feel that I'm using some of the techniques or whatever
Mm-hmm.
things or the principles that you people followed, like some of my managers whom with I have worked with. And I was very blessed with having you, Ashwin, and a lot of other managers in my corporate journey, which has helped me. So thank you for being that great leader
Much
in my
appreciate that.
life and my career as well. So, and as you were mentioning, Lee, people are one important aspect in this customer services, right? And today we see everyone is working from home, right? And there is a challenge during video meetings, be it with
Mm-hmm.
their teams, with their managers, or the biggest challenge when people are talking to their clients, video meeting. And the challenge has been like kids jumping in between your family, your
I
neighbors
know.
noises and all this. And this has sometimes, for some people, it increases the tension, or they are like not sure how to handle it. So, is it going to affect the client interactions, or how do you see this?
Great. I think, trust me, I think I have spoken to multiple of my clients, and I think they all understand. I think this is a new norm,
Yeah.
as it says, right? They all understand that we all work from home, and we do have family, we do have kids, and likewise, the way we are working, our kids are in their schools, right? And your spouses
Yeah.
might be working, and they are in the different calls. So I think they are all. I think customer does understand this, and I think they are, as long as you're able to do your job properly, I think they are okay with some noises that are in your background. That I think they don't think they're really bothered. And more importantly, right, for me, I would suggest that people have to be themselves, right? They
Yeah.
don't need to change. They should not change for just for the heck of showing themselves out, right? They should be themselves, and ultimately, family is going to be with you all through. So I think that's
Yes.
important.
Yeah, and very good point made here. And I just want to remind the audience here, right? Because some of them start feeling that my kids are coming in between, my family is coming. When customers themselves has their own family members, their kids jumping in,
There you
right?
go. There you go. Yeah.
They are open. It's just that we sometimes restrict ourselves. So, as you rightly said, just be yourself, be the way you are, and give the best to your customer, right? And all this
Absolutely.
is a new norm, everybody has accepted it, working from home, all these
Exactly.
things would come. Yeah. So thank you for sharing
Exactly.
that, because I think that was a very important thing that I wanted the audience to be clear with, because that really eases them to whatever they are
Absolutely.
doing. Yeah. And what according to you is the key to developing long term customer relationship?
Again, I think it's the trust and continuously working with them in terms of what their business goals are, what their
Mhm.
business pointers are, and
Mhm.
bringing in value, right? Uh, it's not about you selling a product and supporting the product. You have to see how the particular product can bring in the business value, the social value that your customer is looking for, because
Mhm.
you are an expert in the product and they are the expert in their own industry, right? I think they should probably use their time and energy expanding their business rather than finding out ways how to use your product. So that is where I think your contribution there will be important and critical. So you need to constantly work and ensure that the value of the product is delivered. If there are modifications, changes, or adoption has to be done, I think that's why you need to bring in your innovative mindset, right? I'm sure there's a big topic in the market of automation. Right? There is always the two groups that talks about automation. So I think that's where I think it really brings up. Look at the value, constantly innovate, and ensure that the customer is able to use a product to the fullest capacity. That will take you. That will keep your relationship for much longer time with your customer.
Yeah, I can resonate this because the more I hear from you, I hear these terms trust, value, like add value as much as possible. And
Exactly.
yes, innovation also comes into play. But as you said, value is the most important thing as we move into customer experiences, customer success, and all this. And
True.
we do have these surveys that we do right after the customer calls and all that that happens in
True.
every industry. How
Mhm.
important is the follow up after that? Like, is it critical for maintaining customers for long term?
Absolutely. I think that is one of the other areas that many of the times that we do mistakes, right? We do not do follow-ups done, right? So at that time the customer does feel that they do feel left out. The
Hmm.
customer feel, if you have sent me a survey that I need to give you a feedback, and I'm not happy with this particular issue or this particular service that I have got, and if the organization is not following up, I think that could be one of the biggest mistakes that the organization or the people might be doing. So to me, that's very, very
Hmm.
critical. I think that should be a end-to-end follow-up, not just a follow-up just for the sake of it, but to have a a genuine follow-up done. Hear the customer, listen to his issues, and see how that can be addressed, and also close the loop by informing the customer, this is what the customer, this is what you said, this is the various actions that we have taken, and this is how we are mitigating the problem, right? So that's how you're able to close the loop with the customer. So in my view,
Hmm.
definitely yes, follow up have to be done, and not only follow up, but also need to help close the loop with the customer.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
that's great. And does this apply even for when you get, say, a good feedback from the customer? Is the follow up required after that, like acknowledging
Of course,
them?
say some of the customers, I think it's the feedback is not only negative, right? I think there will be constructive feedback, there will be positive feedback, right? And we will need to ensure that we do appreciate the positive feedbacks also. I think that is what makes them refer us and refer to their colleagues and friends, that okay, what, this guy, so and so is a good product to work for or use for. So definitely I think we need to probably work with both the positive and constructive feedback, maybe more so with the constructive one.
Okay, great. And since we are talking about the customer experience, the survey, and all that,
Mhm.
there is always a push for in the customer services or technical services in this particular field
Mhm.
around having a 10 on 10 for every customer. We want to have the 10 on 10 rating, right? But
Correct.
usually, what we see is the budgets for any of the initiatives. There are no usually there are very less budgets or no budgets for any initiatives to be taken. So in
Mhm.
that case, how a customer success manager or a customer experience leader like you can actually bring up some initiatives with less budget and still get that 10 on 10 for customers?
Absolutely. I think this is a great question again. See, you will never you will never be in a situation that you have got everything in your hand, right?
Right.
There will always be a, a delta gap that you will always be looking forward. So
Yeah.
I think that's where in the customer success perspective, we look at it as what is it that we can do with what we have in our hands, and trust me that if you're able to do and showcase the benefits of what you have done, the
Hmm.
organizations are ready to invest more, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that is how it goes, right? And nobody's going to give you everything on day one. So you need to take what you have, work towards the the goal that you have thought yourself for, and eventually start and eventually get buy-in from your leaders and your organization to be funded more. At the same time, you also need to look at your normal your the normal job that you're doing, in terms of what is it that you're expected to do, how you are able to bring in efficiency there. right? It's not about that if you have spent X amount of money for delivering this, the same amount you will be spending the next year also, right? You need to look at how do you bring
Yeah.
in efficiency, that X minus delta. So that delta can go into funding your other initiatives. And that's how many organizations work. And I have seen that it has been successful. And once you have a use case ready, once you have a, and uh, the solution ready, the organizations are ready to fund in more.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a very great point made here. As you said, there is always a delta. In all the
Yes.
corporates. There is always a delta. It's not like everybody gets the best thing to do whatever they want, right?
Yeah,
Resources, there will be a challenge. But as you
of course.
said, rightly said, start with what you have. Right, start with what
Exactly.
you have is the best approach. And I am hearing this very often from you, and I can clearly understand what makes you that person who is very successful today as customer experiences. You're talking about value, 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 right? And which is, I think, the most critical element for success in any areas. Value towards value for organization, more value you add, value for customers. Yeah, so thank you for the giving us that critical element which is very important for success
True.
in organization and with customers. And
True.
recently I was on Amazon, and I had a challenge. I had purchased something, and then it did not come to me, and I had to go through the customer services. So I went to their website, and then I saw a bot. Right, where the bot is today, we know it's
Hmm.
you go to Amazon, you go to Flipkart, you go to any customer service, we are talking to mostly the bots, right? And the bots are actually helping us.
Hmm.
So we are seeing automation everywhere, especially in the customer services field. Lot of automation happening for the first level of solutions to the customers, where me or anybody don't have to interact with the customer services. Now, with this coming in, the automation coming in, what do you see as the future of these customer services or customer success, customer experiences? Is it
Hmm.
going to be like everything is going to get automated, or will there be opportunities or jobs in this field? How is the future about this? How do you see it?
Yeah, I think again, another point that you just mentioned, right? Automation, I think there are multiple responses that you may be hearing in the market. Some might say,
Hmm.
automation probably will take away all our jobs. Some might say, no, this will create new opportunities, right? To me, what I have seen is there is no value. Again, bringing the word value, right? Value for for an individual to do what he is doing repetitively, right? I think that's when
Yeah.
really comes in. If I am doing a task well, and I know the task has to be done from A to B to C, if that is how the sequence is, it has to be automated. It shouldn't We shouldn't be spending time to do it manually again and again, right? And that brings in opportunity for the person to learn something new. If I'm able to do that work automation, you're reducing the human error, right? I mean, again, going back to the first point that we mentioned, we humans do mistakes. So but if you are doing it through an automation tool, if the process is very very structured, then you can get a bot do it, or you get a script do it, so that you completely avoid human errors. At the same time, it brings in efficiency. Connecting to the earlier point, right? What you have been doing, what you till here will not take you to the next level, right? I think that's why you need to look at it. What is that you can do differently with the automation, so that you're able to bring in the delta that comes into your kitty, that you can do take it out further. So clearly, I do see here the need of skilling and reskilling ourselves, and new areas opening up in terms of AI, ML, and so on and so forth, which definitely brings in a new opportunity for all of us. So
Yeah.
it's a combination of both. I think we definitely need to accept the the new age, and start skilling ourselves, reskilling ourselves, and which is what I would say is an opportunity for us.
Okay. If audience, if you have somehow missed this point, I want to repeat this very important point made by Sriram here. He said, "What got you here cannot take you to the next level." Right? Some of them I see doing the same mundane jobs. They are into something which has been like they are repeating that for years together. And I think the message is very clear for people who are continuing to do the same job again and again, that automation can replace these jobs, because there is a process that can be set up for something that's repetitive. right?
Mhm.
And if you are not ready to go beyond, if you are not ready to upgrade and do things that are really something like, again, adding value towards your organization, right, upgrading yourself, then definitely there would be a day when automation would take away these kind of jobs. But yes, as you mentioned, humans, if we can upgrade, then we keep moving on to the next level. So very good important points
Yeah,
made
and
here. Thank
again, I
you.
think, let's say, right, we humans are very, very agile, right? I think we should,
Hmm.
sometimes we underestimate ourselves. I think rightly you pointed out, sometimes we underestimate ourselves, that thinking that, we have been doing this for last 10 years, 15 years. Will I be really be able to do something different? I think that's important. I think we humans, we have the potential to change. We have potential to adapt to new things. We just have to do it.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I know this is a very basic question, but
Mhm.
I know there are some people who are still getting into this customer services, customer experiences, and all. What is the difference between a customer and a client, and how can somebody convert a customer into a client?
Yeah. A customer, I mean, let's take a simple and real normal example, right? When you go to buy a phone in the shop,
Mhm.
so you are a potential customer who might be buying it, right? But if I buy the product, that's where I really become a client, and then I start continuing to be invested there, right? So again, I'll say within our organization, I think we need to be uh, inclined towards our client for long term opportunities and stuff like that. I think that's how you can have this conversion of customer to the clients.
Yeah. So again,
Yeah.
giving the best to the customers, and then
Yes.
again and again repeating to add more value will actually convert them into the clients.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and more importantly, right, I mean, I would also say that clients who are having a long term relationship with you, they not only give you recurring business, but they also recommend you for others, right? And that's how you grow your business.
Mm-hmm. And have you also seen clients, loyal clients, moving from one organization or one place to the other? And if
Mhm.
yes, like what has been the main reason why some clients who have become loyal still move to some others? Right? What is the
Yeah.
main missing element they see there?
Yeah. Again, I think that is an industry data point, right? I think 50 to 60% of a client of a customer do not get back to the same thing for due to a bad service. So
Mhm.
definitely services or success services does play a key role in my view.
Mhm.
If a customer doesn't get back to you, and again, it's not it's an industry proven data point that we have, I believe, from Gartner or for Forbes. I'm not sure, but there are data points that really shows that 50 to 60% of the customers do not return back if they get a bad service.
Mhm. So it all boils together at the customer
Yes,
experience and the service, right? So this
exactly,
this team plays a very important role. And
absolutely.
now when we understand that this team plays a very important role, uh, if we see from the context of today, right, because of
Hmm.
COVID,
Hmm.
there are teams who are not working together today, right? Earlier, if you see, people were sitting next to each other,
Correct,
helping
correct.
each others, and there is a manager. If I recall my experience working under your team, I used to see you there, right? I have any escalation, I can run into your room and then say, Sriram, I need your help here. Or there are
Hmm.
people who come with different experiences. I reach out to the team member and they help me to solve those customer issues. Right. So, how can people right now handle these
Hmm.
situations, and what would be the best effective ways for the teams to work in this pandemic situation, working from homes?
Yes, yes. And thankfully, I would say, Fatha, I think we do have tools available today, right? I think there are
Yes.
collaboration tools available today. I think that's going to be very, very critical in terms of how to reach out to your peers, or how to reach out to your colleagues or your managers. I think we have to really start using them more and more. I think, again, there are
Mhm.
some data points that show that the tools, the utilization went 3-4 folds in the last 1 year in terms of the sales, and also in terms of the usages. So yes, there
Mhm.
are tools available. I think we need to know how to use them, and we need to know how to leverage them to the fullest capacity.
Yeah, good point made there. Resources are available. It's just that
Yes.
we start using those resources would be helpful. And how is the repository important in customer services? Because one thing
Hmm.
I really used to feel bad during my corporate days is people are not ready to share knowledge. They always
Hmm.
feel that when I share knowledge, then I might not be able to grow, someone else grows, or my job may be at risk. But in customer services, how important is this repository of information or of solutions and all that?
Yeah, but again, yeah, I think I would like to highlight, or let people know that you actually grow when you share knowledge. It's not that you lose out when you share knowledge, right?
Right.
And again, in customer support, customer success industry, we do solve problems, and if we do
Hmm.
not document those problems, I don't think we are doing our job to the fullest capacity or fullest knowledge, right? So we need to do that. So um, look at this opportunity, right? If you're able to document the issue that you have seen and how to fix the issue, tomorrow can I automate it so that you are able to
Hmm.
do something else differently, right? I think that's going to be really critical, and it's all about data mining that you have, right? If I have this
Yeah.
issue, and if this issue can be solved in one, two, three different ways, and if this is how we have seen in multiple other customers, I think that can be a good point to look at. How do we mine the data? How do you leverage those data, right? Otherwise, to me, it is not good that if one of your colleagues have solved a problem, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. We should not be reinventing the wheel again.
Right. Right. Yeah. So I think a very good point made by you here is by sharing knowledge, we always grow.
Grow.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there is no need to reinvent the wheel, where it saves a lot of time for the teams and organization. So
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you for that. And we see customer services in all industries today, right? And
Hmm.
especially if you see the call centers, BPOs, earlier there was a gap between IT and BPO and call centers, but
Hmm.
today, since everybody is doing customer technical services and all that, how do you see the scope for people moving from BPO or call center into the IT industries if they are in the same space like customer services or customer experience?
Yeah, I think that's where your knowledge and skills also come into the play, right? So
Hmm.
if you want to move from, say, one industry to another industry, you obviously need to adapt and know the new industry norms, and know the technical skills or the operational skills that you need for the new industry. So is it
Hmm.
impossible? No, it is not impossible. It is possible, definitely it's possible, but you need to adapt and reskill yourself to get there, right? I think that's where I'll say. And again, I have seen many people who have moved this, who have done this transition from a BPO kind of industry to customer service, a customer success industry. At the same time, from customer success to sales and other organizations also. So the transition is possible. You need to skill and reskill yourselves.
Okay. Okay. And how do you see the future of this industry, customer success industry?
No, so I think we are very in the very in the nascent stage right now. I think we're just a few years into this industry, I believe, and there's a long way to go ahead in this. There are great opportunities for people who would want to get into this space. Being from a customer success engineer to be a customer success manager to a customer success executive, so on and so forth. So, and I definitely seeing with the shift in the industry in terms of how the various AI is used. I think this becomes very critical for us, that there's a big potential in this industry.
Okay. And what, according to you, are the top three skills? Maybe you would have learned that, or you feel that it is very important for a person to grow in this particular industry. Like top three skills, if you can think about.
For that matter, any industry, Fatah, I would say is to listen
Mhm.
and listen, right? I think you need to definitely give a lot of time to listen to the issues and then start reacting. Many times we hear something and we say, oh, you know what, we know this issue and this is how you solve the problem, but we do not listen to the full issue. So I would say listen and listen.
Yeah, I can clearly recall the times when I worked. You used to tell, listen, and most of my managers, at least in the technical industry, used to say, listen, because I felt the challenges when I also failed at times in that particular customer calls was I never listened properly, right? Customers want
Mhm.
to be carefully listened, and if we can listen to the problem, then I think half of the problem is solved there, as you said.
Correct.
So listening is
and
a very important skill.
and sometimes is ultimately bottom down, right? We are all engineers, right? And we want to
Yeah.
solve a problem. Okay. So if we do not listen to the full problem, we listen to the initial issues, and we are able to say, okay, this is what the issue is, and we try to solve the problem in a different way. So we lose time, right? And
Mhm.
if it is an outage situation, I think you have to be all the more careful, right? We don't want to extend the customer outages
Yeah, yeah.
for
And
this.
again, for audience, this is something I want you to make note of, because when people come with huge experiences, the way they present something or the way that they talk about something, there is a huge importance of that. Now, when Sriram was talking about listen, 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 I can see many people who think communication is the skill that they need to adopt. They think communication is all about talking. But if you see here, communication in any space is like three times listening. It's just one time about talking, right? It's like
Yes.
one third of it is more of listening, and only one fourth, like one fourth of is like you are just doing the talking, right? Three times more of listening. Yeah, thank you.
Great.
And it was great conversation with you, Sriram. And before we end this, what is that one message you would want to give to the audience today?
I would probably say, first, thank you so much for having me on your show. I think this is a great opportunity, and I think you are on a great path. As you rightly said, you wanted to influence 10 million people in their career, I mean, mid-career. I think many of us do go through that particular challenge at the where they are in middle of their career, and sometimes they're confused as to what to do, what not to do, and how to grow in that. I think you are doing a great job in that, and I wish you all the very best. And I'm really happy that in some ways I have influenced also, and I think I'm being humble about it. I think that shows you're destined to do this, right? So wishing you all the very best. And if you ask me, one open message I would say is, these are unprecedented times. I think people there are challenging. This is a pandemic situation. The industry is changing. I think we also need to adapt. We also need to keep changing ourselves. We also need to bring in value to our customers, value to our organizations, and more importantly, value to ourselves also. Right. I think from my standpoint, I think we need to be compassionate to our teams. We need to be compassionate to our families, as I rightly said, and keep ourselves up to date, skilling and reskilling ourselves, and I'm sure that will take us a long way. So wishing them all the very best.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that very important and very strong message from you about compassion. I think this is what we all need to do to each other, be it to our teams, be it to our family members, be it to people whom we don't even know, right? Because this is, I think, the time when we have to show compassion. And thank you again. It was like wonderful having you here, learning from your experiences, the vast experience that you have in this field. And I'm sure like a lot of people who have been here live, plus we will have a lot of people who will be watching it later on different
Mhm.
platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and all that. It will be a value add for them. So thank you on behalf of everyone, and for
Thank you
others
for
who
that.
are watching us, right? We are going to bring more people like Sri Ram and others who are going to add a lot of value. So stay tuned and keep learning, keep growing from and the best way of learning is learning from others experiences, right? So keep learning and stay tuned. We are going to come again with more leaders, more experienced people who can add value and help all of us. So thank you all, and God bless. Thanks, Sriram.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.